Welcome in. Welcome in. It is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. March Madness over. Bring on March Sadness. Here as always on Offensively Offensive, myself, Sean D, Tom Turn, Nate Schuster, David Braga, who's going to have a little bit more to talk about the start of this show than we initially anticipated even a couple days ago.
Yep. Got that right.
Besides the obvious, which we'll get to in a second, how are we dealing with the loss of, our free time, basically, or actually, I should say more free time to go around now that Cyclone men done, Cyclone women extra done.
Soccer season starting, so we're covering that here in Marshalltown. So that's how I'm filling the free time.
Masters is next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch any? I couldn't bring myself to watch the Elite Eight, by the way.
I didn't.
What? Actually?
Yeah,
no,
actually,
I didn't watch it.
Do you at least see Duke UConn?
I saw the end of it, yeah.
It was best
besides
game,
that game.
Best game of the tournament. I think I didn't watch it. I didn't watch a second of it.
I came upstairs and my dad was like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Oh God."
Nate, you're awfully quiet.
Yeah, I was out and about for that. I missed the ending of the UConn game, but I've watched most of the Elite Eight. Obviously not the end of the UConn game, but
it's gotten to the point for me where I purposely scheduled my anniversary dinner 7:00 Saturday night. I can't. That loss broke me. It really did. And the writing was on the wall, but
yeah,
it was the psychological warfare after the fact. I was like,
Tom will tell you the writing was on the wall.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough.
Everything we said couldn't happen did.
Yeah.
No, It was bad game. I think I would be spiraling the same. I think I'm just a tad bit of a tier below because I'm addicted to the portal. I love it. It's my favorite thing. Because I love NBA free agency and I don't even have a team. So like having Iowa State, having Creighton, and now I've adopted San Diego and a little bit of Northern Iowa, I would say. I'm addicted to the portal, which helps a lot right now because I'm just like, it's off season. I'm not going to care what happened on last Friday. It doesn't affect me at all, even though I think about it 24/7. I don't care.
You're like the antithesis to the modern fan. Like everybody thinks the portal, you're like, give me more. He'll get to my veins. Like,
yeah. And then I see the first edition in the portal goes to Tennessee, and I'm like, okay, get off my screen.
Yeah.
There's a bit of irony there. The recruiting in the portal stuff I have never taken to because there's no rhyme or reason for half of it besides cash, first of all. And then the second thing is when you talk about 18-year-old kids making these decisions, like sometimes it's as simple as my girlfriend goes to Miami, Carson Beck, and then they break up within like a month, Carson Beck, right? Like the biggest profile transfer in college football last year made a decision because his girl went there, and then immediately it fell apart. So it's hard for me to be like, ooh, yeah, where's this 19-year-old going? Like,
I always like looking at the classes and how the coach builds it because the casual will be like, oh my goodness, Iowa State brought in 2 backups and then a power forward. It's like, well, actually, it's all he needed. So that class lines up perfectly. But
you're right. I guess what I'm saying is I don't like following until we get the guy and then it's all in. Like, I don't care about the leading up to the commitment process. Like that part is less fun for me. Like I still want to hear the analysis, but I personally am not going to be like, doing too much. I'm not going to spend too much time looking into someone until he actually signs.
Oh, I think I'm there too. The little part that I like is seeing the names that are out immediately. Like when they have like a top 5 and then you look at their roster, like, oh, this guy'd be really fun for Michigan or Michigan State. I really hope he goes there, not Auburn. That's what I like the pre-process. But what I really love is after the fact. We've gotten to the days where the numbers are a little more public. I love seeing the numbers, the payrolls, everything like Houston. Like Samson low-key has been lying a little bit about how much money they have, and like they have no guards returning. So it's like, what are they going to spend there? Is Snack coming back if he drops in the draft? Like the big man market's always insane. What's Tugler going to get? Like, I don't know. I just love it so much.
Fair.
I like speculating when it's not my team involved with it.
Oh yeah.
I'll be like, because I'll treat it like the NBA free agency or like the NFL free agency. I'll be like, oh, if this guard goes here, like, what does Michigan State look like? Or oh, if this guard, if this forward goes here, what does California look like? I like doing that, but it's like maybe this is just from the women's side of things, but like when it's the team that I'm cheering for that's involved with stuff, it's like, all right, I'll just let them handle it and see where we go.
Perfect segue, right? So I think, going into this week, there was an understanding of there's going to be an exodus of some sort on the women's side. I don't think, David, if we would have asked you this question last week, that you would have said we would have lost. Is the number now 10?
It's 9. One withdrew, Freya Jensen.
We had a reversal, right?
Yeah. Yep. But I could have seen some of the names, Reagan Wilson, Lily Taulale, Eiley Tanky. Like these are names that, you want to keep them at Iowa State for depth, but also at the same time, you understand like these kids are here to play basketball. And if they're not finding their spot in the rotation, you totally understand them wanting to go somewhere where they're going to play basketball. So I think a lot of that from the bench aspect of things, I think especially with the understanding that, obviously Audie Crooks and Addie Brown and Ariana Jackson, like obviously none of those guys are leaving. You kind of get that understanding of that. But then when it turns out the whole roster is leaving, it's like, well, is it really all playing time? Is it a coaching thing? Is it NIL money thing? I mean, what's really going on here? So that's kind of my take on it is like, once you start to get, and I said this when Freya initially announced that she was transferring, she was the 6th name. And I said something along those lines where it's like, when you have 12 people that could come back and 6 of them are leaving, I don't think it's all just NIL money. I think there's I don't think it's all just playing time. Like there's something more to this that we as fans don't see.
Yeah, you don't lose 9 people because the money is not right.
No, and you don't lose 9 people because they're all going to miss out on playing time. Like you assume that you're going to bring in like 2-3 transfers, 4 transfers. Some of them are going to be depth pieces. Maybe you do, last year we brought in Jada Williams, and the year before that we brought in Kenzie Hare. Like those are people that you expect to start. Those are people that you expect to make an impact. And, with the exception of Kenzie Hare's injury last year, or I guess now 2 years ago, like, yeah, they do make an impact. And those people that you bring in do, make a difference on the team. But you also look at the depth pieces like Elisa Williams. She came in, she was behind Audie Crooks. Like that's somebody that makes a difference on the team when Audie gets in foul trouble, when Audie needs a 2-3 minute break, when, whatever that case may be. Like she played some good minutes, and there was kind of that understanding. I thought she was going to leave for the start of this past year, and she stuck around, and it was like, okay, like she knows her role on the team. She knows like what everything's going on. Like, we're settling in, like we're gonna run it back. And then you get to the end of this year and all of a sudden everybody dips, and that's when the questions start flying.
I mean, but that's not even mentioning the biggest fish, so to speak, in
No.
Audie leaving. And
Yeah,
I mean, you were on the record essentially last week and the week prior saying, I don't think Audie's going
no,
anywhere.
I didn't think she was going anywhere.
Why? I mean, we don't know a lot at this point unless there's something that you want to share that we're not privy to.
I got stuff.
Why?
So, obviously Ariana Jackson is staying. That's the one kind of big hit that's staying. There's obviously Freya Jensen and Evangelia Pollock are both staying as well. But I don't know if you guys knew this. Ariana Jackson's brother, Kendall Jackson, is on the football team.
He was,
yeah. And he tweeted out today, why put all the hate towards coaches? How about you go ask the players that took your money the past couple of years? We live in a different time now. NIL has completely changed the sport, and we have to get used to kids leaving for new opportunities if we like it or not. And Elisa Williams replied to that and said, lol. So
what's the insinuation there? Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Yeah, so Kendall's basically saying, like, why are we blaming the coaches? Like, why are we blaming Bill Fennelly for players taking advantage of their opportunities? And basically saying, like, hey, these players came here, you're basically paying them, with your season tickets, with your, whatever else, however else you're donating to the program. Why aren't we questioning the players a little bit more? And Elisa Williams is saying, LOL, like what are we talking about here? So I thought that was pretty interesting. I also thought, I replied to that and I said, yeah, like I understand it to a point, because obviously it does hurt when a player leaves, especially when it's a homegrown kid, when it's somebody like Audie Crooks, when it's someone who, you recruit as a freshman and you have for 3 years like Addie Brown. And I said, yeah, like I get it to a point, but also I'll be honest, it's not like Audie Crooks and Addie Brown didn't have the opportunity to leave last year for more money. Like we went through a little bit of this ordeal last year. Like, Iowa State kind of let down, had to go to the play-in, won the first game against Princeton and lost in the first round against Michigan. Like, this was a preseason top 10 team. What's going to happen in the portal? Are these players going to stake it out? And both of them were like, yeah, like let's run it back. Like we're going to do it. And so I don't know if it's just, hey, we're disappointing a second year in a row. Like something we're doing clearly isn't working. But I was like, yeah, like it feels like there's something more than just there's money elsewhere or there's playing time elsewhere. And Addie Brown liked my reply to that. So I feel like there is more to this that's not being publicized fully, which is really disheartening, I guess, just because, I get that it is kind of a different time, but like it just sucks.
Do you think that there's an element of this? Remind me, what was the order of which people left? Audie was obviously last.
It was Eiley Tanky was first. Lily Taulale was second. Reagan Wilson was one of the first ones, I believe, as well. It kind of went. I don't want to sound rude saying this. It kind of went bench order. Like you kind of had some of the bench people leave, and you were kind of like, oh, these people are leaving for playing time, and then all of a sudden Jada Williams comes in and says, oh, I'm leaving, and then it's like, oh, like shit, like something's going on. And then Addie Brown says she's leaving. And then now, obviously, Audie Crooks says she's leaving.
I am curious if Audie, and again, know nothing, just speculating, just talking. Like, do you think that Addie goes to Audie and is like, hey, listen, like, I'm dipping. Like, I'm out. Like,
that's definitely a conversation.
That's definitely one.
That's.
I also,
any team.
I've kind of thought this, and this kind of goes to the Pollard video and the Fennelly message that I'll get to in a minute. But
yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I feel like
probably where a lot of
I feel like this is a conversation that is not just made anymore by the player. Like you think like pre-COVID, before NIL and before that, like if a player left, I don't want to speculate on every athlete, but it felt like it was usually an athlete decision. Like, I want to go closer to home. I want to have more playing time. I want to do all this. But now with NIL and players getting played, like, I don't know how it fully works, but I feel like that's a conversation that also happens with the coach and happens with, whoever's handling NIL stuff like that. And I don't know if that's fully the case, but I feel like there's people that know that players are, thinking about leaving for whatever reason, given that there are NIL dollars now involved. Again, I don't fully know if you guys know from the men's side anyway, if there's any truth to that. But I feel like there's a conversation that's like, hey, coach, like, I'm thinking about leaving, however that affects the roster. Like, I don't know if that's a conversation that gets had.
Well, here's something I would add to that is it is not an individual decision anymore. To your point, it's not just the athlete.
Right.
A lot of these athletes, male or female, are looked at from their family as income sources and significant income sources at that. And maybe that family isn't coming from financial stability, but this is kind of a lottery ticket for some people. And if you can cash in heavy these 3-4 years you're going to be playing, I would not be surprised if the portal is discussed by a family member or a parent. Like, hey, I know what you could make if you went to this school. Why not try it?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, everybody's portaling, but you can still come back. It's not necessarily an over with thing, but it's I mean, we talked about the 1-year contract thing. Everyone's playing a 1-year free agency deal. So cash in while you can. But yeah, to your point, why? Why is it now? Why wasn't it? Why weren't you trying to turn this into a real cash cow?
Right. And I feel like if you were going to leave, it would have been after 1 year of disappointment, knowing that you'd have 2 years at a different program. It wouldn't be a last second jump the ship. Hey, all of us are seniors now. Like, again, maybe that's not the mentality that student athletes have in 2026. But I mean, I feel like if you've done something for 3 years and, you want to try to commit to making it is that any part of this conversation? Like, why just for your 4th year? Because I know that there's a lot of again, I'll get to this for the Pollard video, but like for the football team, like a bunch of them were seniors and Campbell left. So a lot of them would want to try to follow Campbell. That's the guy that recruited them. Like, that's the guy that they want to stick with. But like with this situation, you're just going to go to a different coach or a different program for 1 year, like try to win a title, I guess.
But here's the thing. We can't sit here and eviscerate Fennelly and then get upset when the players leave because they have
that's 100%. 100%.
That's the one thing that I think. I know I'm not talking to this group. I just mean in general. I know you guys know that, like, the writing has been on the wall with Bill, at least based on, David, what you've been saying and what it seems like the masses are. I don't know if I've seen too much negative backlash on the women that have left. It doesn't upset me at all. Like, you can't sit here. Bill's got to go. Bill's got to go. He needs to retire. It's time to move on. And then when the players do it, like, hopefully the masses are not doing that, right? Because, like, if Audie can go get 1.5 to 2 mil at UConn or something, then why not?
The only backlash that I've seen has been the people that are now coming out to flame Audie for her defense and being like, oh, well, yeah, her defense sucked. That's why the team didn't work out. And that's why we sucked in the tournament and like all that. And like, I'm sorry, there's definitely truth to that. And I know, here, I'll pull up the comment here as well. Like, there's definitely truth to this. Like, if Audie Crooks is not going to translate her game to the WNBA and play some defense and, maybe get a little quicker on her feet, whatever. Like, yeah, I don't blame you at all for trying to go get a bag now. I do question a little why now as opposed to why not last year, especially knowing that, maybe Bill has just this one last year or whatever the case may be. So there's a little bit of that confusion there, but no, I don't blame the players at all. I mean, I blame the system even then more than I would blame Fennelly, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's a conversation for another time, I suppose. But it's a lot that's hitting a program at a really bad time because you've got one freshman coming in because Sydney Harris was the only actual senior on this team. Like, you've got one freshman coming in, and now you've got 9 people leaving for the portal, and you've got to figure out some way to pull together a roster. Now, there's 500 names already in the women's portal. Like, there's going to be people available, but how much roster construction does Bill have if he's only got 1 year left? Like, is it just going to be a bunch of seniors that are coming in for 1 year? And then if it's not seniors, is it going to be people that just dip after a year because Fennelly's gone? So that's why I say that this is happening at a horrible time, because it kind of seems to me like you're going to be stuck in this loop now for a year or two. And that's not somewhere that I think we need to be.
Before we move on, get a chance to digest that, I want to make sure that we thank our friends at the Iowa Distilling Company for their continued support of Cyclone Fanatic After Dark throughout the postseason and beyond. We're excited to partner with them as a local Iowa-based company that loves the Cyclones as much as you do. So thank you again to the Iowa Distilling Company for sponsoring us. I do also want to shout out the Iowa State 1858 vodka is the official spirit of the Cyclones. So make sure you pick up some of that, especially as you're listening to David talk about the complete and utter destruction of the women's program.
See if you can finish it by the end of the podcast. No.
Yeah, there you go.
Let us know.
Before you get to Jamie and Bill's comments about what's going on, I was wondering, because we've already seen one. The way now, I already have a hat on now for the people not watching the video format. I'm putting on my outside the box hat right now.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm stupid if it sounds like it. But the way the people entered the portal of how many minutes they were getting, bench players as starters, and how that worked, and how one has already come back to Iowa State. Do you think there was maybe a player that was total speculation? I know nothing. Like Sean said, I know nothing. Total speculation.
Yeah,
Do
we
you
know.
think maybe there was a bad apple? Like maybe there was a bad apple. Frustrating season. There was injuries, disappointment. Top 10 team, like you said, they beat Iowa in December.
Yeah.
Like they looked really good. Do you think frustrations went over? Whether it was NIL, whether it was playing time, whether somebody thought they should have been number 1 option, whether somebody thought they should have been the number 4 option instead of the number 6. Do you think that may have played a role in any of this?
I don't know 100%, Tom, but here's what I will say. If you're on a team that's struggling and you're not the number 1 option and you think that you can make an impact and there is not a change that's coming to the offense or the defense or wherever you think you can succeed the best, I cannot imagine the frustration that would bubble up from that. If you're the first person off the bench or the second person off the bench, or even if you're a starter and you're coming into the game and you're like, hey, we're on a losing streak, and you are just hammering the same play over and over again, and it's not going to you, and you're losing 5 games in a row, and you're losing in the Big 12 tournament, and you're losing the first game of the tournament, I can't imagine that would be easy to take as an athlete. I can't imagine that's not a thought. Yeah. Now, again, I don't know that for sure. I also don't want to say that Freya's coming back purely because Audie is leaving or Addie is leaving or Jada's leaving or whoever. But I also, again, I can't imagine that that's easy as an athlete to take, that, hey, we're losing and our one-trick pony's not working and I'm not getting involved. Like, if you're an athlete, you think you can make a difference. Like, I don't care if you're guy number 1 or guy number 10. Like, you think you can make a difference. You think you can be that solution. And if it's not working and you're not seeing any change that could maybe get you a chance to shine, like, yeah, I could see how that would be frustrating. I could see how that could make you want to leave.
Very well said.
Perfectly said. He's a PR guy from day one.
So
I don't know
David,
about that, but
sitting where we have now, I mean, but beyond the obvious of filling the roster, I mean, like what are expectations for the coming year? Because I don't half a step removed from all of this. Like, this reminds me of when Pollard was like, rest be assured, Iowa State fans, like, we will have 100 guys playing football next year. Like, yeah,
don't
Jamie,
get me started, Sean.
Like,
don't get me started. Don't get me started, Sean.
Please go ahead.
Well, first, I do want to say I did send Tom a list of players that I would watch. Not that these are people that we've reached out to. These are just purely like, if I could build a roster, these are some of the people that I would look at. First off, Kiyomi McMillan from Penn State. She's just incredible guard. 21 points, 5 boards, 5 assists a game at Penn State. They were terrible. She's in the transfer portal. I would be target number 1. I'd also look at Bergen Kinnebrew. She's a D2. She was like the 2nd or 3rd leading scorer in D2 out of UMary. She was on a visit to Boise State the other day, and I know Iowa State was kind of in the looking there. I don't know if that's still the case or not. That would be a name to watch. Also, my dream portal edition, still the center from Auburn, Arik Ngui, 6'9" center who's a freshman. And now if Audie's leaving, like, you're going to need a starting center. You're going to need someone to be the big man in the starting lineup. So I would certainly look there. And if you're not going to go there, Elsa Vadfors from Kentucky, 6'5" center, who's also a freshman. And then I guess the point to lead into that is, like, if you're going to recruit a younger center, like, you're going to need to develop them at some point. So why not just shoot your shot now? But there's a bunch of talent from, like, some of the non-power schools, and George Mason's got a couple girls in the portal. Rhode Island has got a couple girls. I know I say non-power schools, but I'll go to Tennessee. They kind of had a similar season to Iowa State. They started out really hot, kind of to trickle off towards the end of the year, and did not have a good postseason or tournament at all either. They've got the sisters Mia and Maya Paldo are both in the portal, and then Talasia Cooper, their starting point guard and leading scorer, is also in the portal. So there's definitely names that are going to be available. I just question how much interest there'll be from the players in going to what is essentially a full rebuild with not a lot of security on the back end. So that's my thought. I will also say I get to finally be the guy that talked to somebody close to the program for once. They are apparently they said it'll look different, but I think the fans are going to like the type of girls they're bringing in. They want like-minded girls around the team. So take that what you will. I will say AJ and Evangelia Polk, both two of our probably 3 or 4 best defenders. So if that means more defense is coming in, and then there's going to be a change of an actual change of philosophy, I'm all for it. Also, Macy Comito is still coming in. She said that no matter what, forever blessed to be a Cyclone earlier today. So that's a good sign for at least the incoming freshman.
Good. What else on the women's stuff before we let you go?
The Jaime Pollard video made me want to rip my hair out. It wasn't even the point of like, hey, Fenley's earned riding out his contract. Fenley's earned, his own retirement or whenever he wants to. Because honestly, I totally understand that. And I know that's kind of been a point in the group messages, but like, he has done enough to go out on his own terms. I think it's kind of silly the way that we're going to go about it, and that you couldn't really keep anybody in what is presumably one final run. But it wasn't even that part that annoyed me. Comparing this situation to the football program in December is utter nonsense. It is absolutely ridiculous. There is a stark difference between your coach and coaching staff leaving entirely and having to refill a roster, while also then bringing in a new coach that's able to kind of fill that roster. It's not guys but it's guys that are maybe familiar with the coach, that got recruited by the coach, that were with the previous coach at Washington State or whatever, as opposed to you've got the same coach and you've got to fill 9 to 10 roster spots. I mean, that is that's what 85% of the program is going to have to be refilled by people who have maybe never played together, who have maybe never, been in a system like this, who have maybe never played in the Big 12 or a Power 5 conference. I mean, it is nonsense to compare the women's basketball program and what happened to the football program.
Can I read the quote just so there's more context?
Yeah.
So this is from Cyclone Fanatic. This is directly from Jamie's video. It reminds me of last December with our football program. We were down to 17 players, and I remember saying to all of you, I can't guarantee you who will be on the team, but I can guarantee you that there will be 100 young men that are going to gladly wear cardinal and gold and play football for the Cyclones. I had the opportunity to attend football practice this week, and although I didn't know many of the student athletes running around on the field, I can assure you there was a full allotment of student athletes that are going to make you proud as Cyclones. The women's basketball transfer portal opens up on April 6th, and it will be open until April 20th. I'm confident that given our great crowds, our history, and our coaching staff, that we will have no shortage of student athletes that want to transfer to Iowa State. And know this, our coaches will have more than enough revenue share dollars to be able to attract some of the best student athletes possible.
I don't doubt that we could pay somebody a tier 1 or tier 2 dollar amount to come here. I question the want by athletes to come here. I know there's the fan base that is very passionate and that is willing to attend games and that is, behind this team. And I get wanting to play in the Big 12 and I get wanting to play in Hilton Coliseum, and I get that. I do severely question wanting to play for a team that is basically in a full rebuild in a Power 5 conference with a potential coaching situation in the next year and wanting to try to commit to that. So I'm very interested to see how they go about this. Like I said, I've given you some names. I don't know if they're looking at any of these people other than the one that I think had a visit scheduled. I don't know if she's come yet or not. But I'm very interested to see how they build a roster, because again, kind of the contrast is like, yeah, Jimmy Rogers didn't bring everybody from Washington State, but he brought a few people. He didn't bring everybody that he had recruited previously, but he brought a few people. And then there were some holes that needed filling that, we'll see how they play out. But there's a 0 right now in the transfer portal. Like really, there's a -9, and you got to find a way to fill 9 spots. And again, like that's 9 spots, and 3 or 4 of those are going to be starting spots. I mean, those are people that you're going to have to pay money to, unless you're just not going to pay anybody. I mean, maybe you pay 1 or 2 people, but if you're going to pay one person $800,000, are they going to want to come play for Iowa State knowing that there's not probably going to be a whole lot of help, and it's going to be basically a full rebuild, and you might not be a tournament team. You might not be a top half team in the Big 12. Those are questions that I can't answer. but
800,000.
Again, that's I don't know what number we're looking at here, but I know what the top tier
Sounds
dollars
great to
are.
me.
I know what the top tier dollars are. I know, Flau'jae Johnson was like 1.5 mil for LSU last year. I know there've been, like Juju Watkins is up in that kind of echelon as well. There are top tier dollars, and Audie and Addie are probably both going to find something close to that, if not more than that. So, I mean, they're definitely getting more money to go somewhere else. And we'll just have to see what the transfer portal looks like.
It's interesting to compare like this scenario to the men's game because I mean Baylor had this exact same scenario happen this year where their entire team portaled. They come back
and Baylor look.
And they kind of looked like the most average team in the Big 12 that had some variant swings with, you had Carr, you could score, and the rest were kind of like, I don't really know how this fits. It just kind of feels like you had 15 parts of 15 different paintings and you threw it together and it wasn't really a nice looking painting. Like, I don't know if that's really a route we should be going long term.
Yeah.
The weirdest part is because like when you're bringing players into a rebuild, you can hit them with the easy motto, like you're starting the culture. When they look back, when the fans look back 5-10 years, you're thinking, oh, this is the team that had Isaiah Brockington or Tristan Enaruna. Those are the guys that started the foundation. If you do that and then your coach is gone in 1, maybe 2 years, you didn't do
correct.
Your legacy is nothing.
Correct.
Like, not to be harsh, but there's no legacy.
That's why this is such a problem, Tom. If Bill has 1 year left, let's say he's got 1 year left, and you bring in eight women that are willing to play, that are willing to be that, hey, I want to be the difference maker on this program. I want to be the name that people remember in 5 years. And your coach is gone a year after you try to start that rebuild. Are you going to stick it through with another coach? Is Bill just going to recruit a bunch of juniors and try to recruit people for the next guy or next gal that comes in? I mean, I don't know what the game plan is because I'm not in that coach's meeting. But if you're trying to plan for 3-4 years in the future, I don't know if Bill's going to be part of that conversation. And I don't know how athletes see that coaching change. So it's a very precarious predicament to be in.
Here's another predicament that might compare to this is the Michigan football coach situation. Like, do we think Whittingham is going to be the long-term option for 5 to 10 years at Michigan? I don't think so.
Right.
Like, it's kind of the same boat. Granted, Michigan football is a little bit of a bigger brand.
Yeah, that's very true.
Maybe the new coach is already on the bench. Maybe he's already on the staff. And good old Billy. As David takes a drink.
That's what I have to say about that, Tom.
That's fair.
Wow, what an uplifting end.
Sean, you say that. I do have one thing that I do want to say before we close it out. If you're an Iowa State fan right now and you are like me and you are not sure what the women's basketball program is going to look like, and you're up in the air, we'll say, on season tickets or going to games or purchasing, donating or anything like that. If there's any question of, do I want to do this? Don't think of it as you're doing it for the team or for the program or whoever else. Ariana Jackson, Evangelia Polk, and Freya Jensen deserve a hell of a season next year, especially Ariana Jackson. There is no amount of love and respect that I can give Ariana Jackson and Evangelia Polk, especially those two for being seniors next year, that is going to possibly be enough for how much I respect them staying here. Because when you're in the middle of that dumpster fire, it is a lot easier to say, I'll go test the water somewhere else than it is to say, no, I want to be here one last year. And so if anyone has any doubts or questions or concerns about next year, like, if you're not going to do it for the team and you're not going to do it for Fenley and you're not going to do it for any of the transfers that are coming in, do it for those three because they deserve it.
Well said.
Couldn't agree more.
And that is my piece.
Well, Dave, thanks for coming on. As always, we appreciate
Yeah.
it. Hopefully there's some good news to talk through next time.
Yeah, we'll see. The transfer portal for the women opens April 6th, goes April 6th through the 20th. So still 4 days to confirm everything, and then all hell breaks loose, and we have a party.
Love it.
Appreciate you guys, and appreciate everybody in the comments letting me rant for 35 minutes.
Part of the gig, brother. Part of the gig. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. See you.
Thanks, David. So one sad story to another.
Yes.
Transitioning.
Yes. But first, I would like to again thank our friends at the Iowa Distilling Company. As a reminder, it's more than a distillery. It's an experience. Kind of like sitting here and listening to us talk through the sadness that we're about to get into. We talked through some of the March stuff earlier. I don't know if they have anything going on in April. I'm sure they do. So you have to check it out. I do want to remind everyone that there are bars nearby in the Des Moines, Ames area that do have Iowa State 1858 and Prairie Fire available. And that is Whiskey River in Ankeny, Jethro's in Ankeny and Ames, Sunset Lounge in Norwalk, and then the Cabaret Bar and Grill in Ankeny. So depending on where you go, you could either get both or a mix of one or the other. So please be sure to check those out and thank our great partners at the Iowa Distilling Company.
Shout out.
Shout out. All right, let's get to it. We have not had a chance to actually talk about the game. We're almost a full week late just from some scheduling difficulties that we had, which were unfortunate, but we had a chance to sit on this for a little while and think about what transpired and how we got to where we are a full 6 days later. Iowa State obviously loses to Tennessee by a million, and it honestly didn't even feel like enough based on how the game was actually played. I will start with this. I think I'm not surprised when you look at the result and how the game played out. I won't steal Tom your thunder, but you said before you hopped on or close to just starting that basically everything that went wrong did go wrong. A true Murphy's Law situation, if you will, where everything that can go wrong did. Iowa State somehow wasn't even their worst rebounding performance of the season. At Baylor was worse. I don't know if you guys saw that just in perusing through the stats. It was worse. Baylor actually grabbed 2 more rebounds. Tennessee had 42. Baylor had 44. And then I think 2 fewer offensive rebounds as well. Well, let's just start with this. Iowa State was overmatched from the get-go, and that was apparent from the tip. I did not think – I put it this way. I thought the only way that we stayed in it was by shooting the lights out, and we didn't even attempt enough shots to come
The
with
lights are on. Like they are still on. It's been a week.
Yes. And as we got to half, down 1, I believe.
Yep.
I felt
34-33.
I felt okay because I felt like we were hanging in, and I said things cannot possibly go any worse than they did in the first half. To which they did. They did. So I'll stop for a second and set you guys up. So please.
I hate that I won my bracket pool because I got this one right.
Did you have Iowa State versus Tennessee?
I had Iowa State, Tennessee. I had Tennessee beating us. I had Michigan beating Tennessee. And I didn't think it was going to happen a Jefferson way. I just thought their size was just large. I mean, they beat Houston. Good team. Like, nothing wrong with that, but size matters. I mean, I think Kerry Jefferson would have been a good matchup to watch if he was fully healthy. But, I mean, I just thought we got out athleted. Like, they just looked bigger, faster, stronger to the rebound than we did. Look at the I mean, they doubled our boards, 16-8. They nearly doubled our total rebounding, 43-22. And I don't know how many games we won this year making 5 threes or less, but I can't think it was a lot.
It had to be low. I I think this is great that we're doing it almost a week from the game because everybody gave their in-game, like, post-game reactions really close, very emotional. We had time to, like, settle on it, time to relax about it, and now just it's all boiling back up. Like, from the start, I was mad about rotations. We were like a second off, but I'm like, that's fixable. It's very fixable. And then it got to the point of it was early in the second half. It's like it's not actually the rotation. Bateman and Milan just cannot. They're there a millisecond late. You should be able to make up with that if you're a D1 player, but they just can't with the physicality. Milan gets there a split second late, and he's 6'8", large wingspan, doesn't matter. Carey's already on the block. Ball's already going in the hoop. Like, the things we were worried about, Gillespie, he was okay, but it was the post-to-post passing and it was the rebounding. That's exactly what killed us. We weren't athletic enough, just like Nate said, and the rebounding was a problem. And I didn't feel that good at halftime because one of my big worries I texted Jake Brent about before the game was I was really worried Milan was going to have a 2024 Illinois game where he did not show up against Illinois in the Sweet 16. He was a freshman, so it was a little bit more in the back of my mind, but did not shoot well, did not play well, had a costly turnover when we were down 4 with about 30 seconds left. Shannon dunked it. That was the dagger. Bad start. We had to get him going early. Didn't. And when the reason we were close in the game was because Heisey had 14 points in the first half, 12 points in the first half, like, guys, like, I was excited. It was awesome. We all saw these guys take a step up for 2 weeks. But when one guy who's been a role player has 14 and you think it's going to carry over for all 40 minutes, it's just not going to happen. Like, especially against Tennessee, like, Rick Barnes has started to show up in tournament games a little bit. So shout out to him. But yeah, we were down 1.5. I think the highest point was that Torre behind the back pass and transition to Taman to give us the lead in the first half with like 1:30 to go. That was probably the highest point. But even then, we didn't end that minute and 30 seconds well. And then it really went downhill from there.
But I will say, even in the second half, I thought the second turning point of that game was Plata getting fouled on back-to-back possessions with a chance to go down 6. I think we were down 10. I'd have to go back and look. If you guys know what I'm talking about, he missed 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 free throws that would have cut it to a 2-possession game, if not 7. And I think Tennessee came right back down to hit a 3, or they had maybe 2 possessions in a row where they scored.
Carey had an and 1 right after that.
That's it. Yeah. So that as that happened, I went.
For it.
Yeah. As that happened, I went, ooh, that's probably going to do it. Because
yeah. No, I was just gonna say because we both talked about it. All the bad things that could happen did. We missed 10 free throws. We got doubled on the O boards. Taman played well, but him and Torrey combined for 3 threes maybe. I believe it was 2, and like he needed a little bit more. Taman did end with like 18, 5, and 5, but it's the first half. Like, yeah, like we were down by 1, but it was because Gillespie had 4 turnovers in the first half, and Heisey kept us in the game. And then the second half, we just couldn't keep it going.
the thing that this game really opened my eyes to, and I think we all know that's in some capacity. I think the tournament is matchup driven first and foremost, no, over everything else. This was a horrific matchup for Iowa State. Like, you could not have drawn this up any worse. And shame on us for even thinking that it should have been a contest between Tennessee and Virginia. We take Virginia 12 times out of 10, right? Playing against them. I think the second thing that it really made me realize is that the matchups you have zero control over. However, you do have control over your roster build and how and who you bring on to do that. So what I mean by that
this is a great segue. Thank you for saying this.
Perfect. So my thought about this is that we were not balanced enough to play against a team that had a size this way. And it highlighted one of our biggest, the 2 things, Tom, that you talked about, free throws. Again, that's something that you have the ability to change. That is not something that an opponent does. The defensive free throw percentage stat is ridiculous, and I don't even know why we track it, first of all. But lastly, our size wasn't remotely enough. And I know you sit here and you say with Jefferson it's different. I know, but this is the cards that we were dealt. We were not prepared to play against a team of this size, and we couldn't.
You have to have it. It's like I didn't play the Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh card games growing up, but you always have to have a counter. You always have to have a counter card, like we don't have that big burly freak athlete back to the basket big. Now, is there a lot of them out there? You can argue no. But I know they are out there. Would it be nice to have? Yes. But I mean, this game really came down to the styles make fights. They play a lot better above the rim than I thought we ever could or could even think about. Proven by the post rebounding statistics. Our guards got rebounds because they were long rebounds. Our posts didn't because they were vertical rebounds and they just owned us up there. I saw on the internet people were giving Buchanan a tough time. No, that is not. You can't expect him to guard that front line by himself. And more or less, he was guarding it by himself. And even with Jefferson, he still wasn't guarding it. And even if Jefferson was 100% healthy and the ankle never happened, I don't think we get past Tennessee. I don't. That team's too big. They were too. Do you think? I don't know if he's worth 14 points. I thought we were dead at the 49-41 mark. I wrote broken in my notes. It's tough for me to get. We need to have the springboard athleticism to really change the game to me. Carey, Ament, Estrella, all those guys are playing, call it 9 to 11 feet in the air anytime they have the ball in the hands. You know what I mean? If you if you're going to try to block their shot, it's at 9 or it's at 11 or you're finishing at the rim. It feels like our guys was kind of 8 to 10 all year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If your hand only has to get up to here versus up to here, that could be the difference in contesting a shot, or this is no contest.
No, that's been a big problem with, I would say, the past couple of years. It's simple as height with closeouts, height and wingspan trying to grab a rebound, and all of a sudden it's tipped in for the other team because they're taller and they have a bigger wingspan.
Or they have a better second jump and their hands are 11 feet at the rim.
I do think with Jefferson we beat this team because I've talked about it before. I think we had a trick up our sleeve, but with Jefferson being injured, we left it at home. I think small ball Jefferson would have been perfect against Tennessee because Carey's playing the 5, Estrada's playing the 5, having to guard Jefferson. Okay, fine. Carey's on Milan and has to run side to side, fighting through screens. No, he's going to get tired. He's going to foul. I think Jefferson, if healthy, the 5 is so wear and tear on him already, and then having to rebound against one of their 5s. But I think that could have opened up Milan for how bad of a game he played. Ament was on him, and credit to Ament. He wasn't 100%. That was the storyline going in, and he played so well against him. I just think maybe Jefferson at the 5 gives you a different story. And then the other part, I think it's just funny because it's kind of the second year it hasn't worked out in the portal, but we had the backups in case an injury happened, but Mulder didn't pan out. Mulder wasn't going to be a guy. Mulder wasn't going to be a guy you saw making sense. He was going to be great, but we couldn't put him in. He couldn't hold 2 minutes. You don't expect that when you bring him in. You off-season workout throughout the season. Can you please hold 2 to 3 minutes against Tennessee? Didn't work out. The athleticism, Dom Nelson played a great 2 minutes. I strictly remember on defense against Tennessee. But guess what? The offense never translated to Iowa State. It wasn't there, so you can't keep them on the floor, especially with their offense. And maybe that's that athletic burst, not for rebounding, but maybe just some transition buckets. But again, when we're not in transition, Dom Nelson can't be on the floor. So I don't know.
I'll bring up another. Just something about the Milan stat. If you go small ball 5, Milan struggled all year when he had a guard that was his height that had a longer wingspan guarding him. If you look at the matchups that he had, he did not play great against BYU. He did not play great against Ament. He did not play great against the wings that could kind of keep up with him speed wise and that could kind of contest his shot getting around a pin down. I don't think Ament would have came out of the game if we go Jefferson at the 5. I still think it would still be him. I think Carey would probably guard Torrey, but that's just my thoughts.
I think if you can
Or you
at
just take
least
carry off the
get,
court. Like
I think the biggest problem was having 2 Tennessee big guys on the floor. We couldn't compete with it, like at all. Like you would work so hard to box one guy out, but like at least if you had one Tennessee big man, you could get switches and you could try to take advantage. But I don't like. There's one more point too. It's not the story of the game. I think it's the story of the season. It's the guard play. When you know you can't grab a rebound and you have to make your first shot, like Torrey and Taman aren't getting the job done offensively. You need a guard to take over. You need a Shabazz Napier. You need a Kemba. Taman had a good game, 18-5-5, last game. But when it came down to it, when we're down 7, Tennessee's making their run. We can't grab an O board to save our life. We need a shot. It was going downhill with your head down. Like that's his move. It doesn't work against Tennessee, and it didn't.
We need a lot more counter moves for a team that as athletic as that. You need to have a floater. You need to have a push shot. You need to have a left and right hand push shot. It can't just be running into the defense as hard as you can. Even a step back isn't enough because eventually, like everybody's got a step back now. Everyone's watched James Harden the last decade. Like you have to have one. Like if you don't, what are you doing as a guard? Like,
I mean, he does. It's not consistent enough.
But like that is the move. You know what I mean? Like that is the move. You got to have more.
Yeah, I ask you this: if Gillespie and Lipsy traded places for that game, interesting thought process. Who do you think that we would have valued more for what we needed in that game? Just to be clear.
Gillespie, easy.
Gillespie, yeah.
We needed an ISO killer microwave type guard. And that's kind of what we've been missing all year. We've been missing the Curtis Jones type. We've been missing the Tyrese McGee type, the Lindell. Like, if we don't have an elite scorer on this team that can just go one-on-one and you're just like, yep, clear out, go nuts. Like Texas Tech had 2 or 3 of them between Petty and Christian Anderson. And then even when they had Toppin and Lawan Watts could even be that. Jefferson, when he was healthy.
Yeah, Milan's supposed to be, but Moore played the strict overqualified shooter role. Hi, Lambo. Good boy.
Guard dog.
He didn't like the execution either. I think it stinks because I don't watch this back and be like, oh, we should have done this different or like this. You just go and you go, we were like, there was nothing. Like I get it. You can go through the numbers and say, oh, we didn't shoot the ball well. Yeah, we didn't shoot the ball well because Tennessee was 6 inches taller at every position. Like you can't just
shoot over that. It's not just a switch. It's like, oh yeah, they're tall. Just shoot it better. Like
no. So and I think that for the most part, I've seen this online that I haven't seen any irrational fans being like, we should have beat that team. Like that was ridiculous. Like no, we got manhandled.
Sci-Fan Double D says, will Mason be that, referring to Mason Williams? I think he could be. Typically the style of the Seattle guard is an ISO scorer. Think Petty from Texas Tech. I think that was probably what the idea was, but can't turn back injuries, sadly.
I mean, the search goes on for someone who could fill that role, right? You think about Wiggins coming in from Minnesota, who I believe is our top ranked recruit, right? He's number one.
I mean, him and Yusuf Gray are like the 2
Jackson
big
Kiss.
ones. Oh, I forgot about Jackson Kiss too.
Yeah. I think it's Wiggins. It might be Kiss, but I think it's Wiggins. I actually can check here.
We can pull that up. I think watching the game live was the same exact feeling I had watching the Illinois Sweet 16 game, like almost to a T.
Orange and everything.
Oh, the way that the game went, I think you could kind of flip-flop when we made our run in the first and second half, because obviously we didn't make one in the second half.
The orange was mean. Back-to-back orange teams. I didn't like it.
Bet against orange. I think that's what the podcast is now. Like we're just going to hate on orange teams now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. When did you think with 100% certainty, like what's the earliest point of the game where you're like, this is done?
When was that carry and one? Because that is stuck in my brain and probably will be for another 10 years. He gave a little fist pump, a little like haymaker to the crowd of like this, like that was the dagger. Like I am stronger than anybody they put out on the floor. It does not matter. That was, I want to say, like 8 minutes. It was around that Plata missed free throws. Was that 10 minutes left? 8 minutes left? Because we were hovering around the 11 points, like 12 points. I know we lost by like 13 or 12 or whatever, but it was like a realistic down 11. Iowa State, we can go on an 8-0 run. All Suns is 3-point game, which each team's defense, you're in that game. But the run never happened.
No, and Nate, do you have it?
I'm looking for it right now. Here. 54-41.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, so that's right before the 12-minute media. I gave up. Gillespie made a layup. 14-19.
Can you remind me what the play the situation was when he got fouled and whether he missed all four or not?
He missed 3 out of the 4. So you were basically spot on.
Okay.
Not all 4.
So we were down what when he got fouled right away?
I saw that. It wasn't.
It was like 11 maybe.
12.
12. He gets fouled, misses 2.
Misses 3 out of 4. And then Akpar hits the alley-oop dunk. And yeah, it's back to 13.
That's
and we don't get it closer after that.
Yeah, that was when I had waved the white flag mentally.
Big momentum shift because again, we did not end that last minute 30 well in the first half. It was a dead ball. Tennessee had the ball underneath the hoop. Ament somehow got to the top of the key. Somehow a pass got there. He knocked down a 3, and it goes to Nate's point. The closeout, Heisey's closeout, like it was cool, high hand. But guess what? Ament's 6'10", Heisey's 6'5". It did not matter. He swished it. The release point 7 feet in the air. Like, and I want to say, like, we were down 1.5. I want to say we were down 3 at that point, and like the way we're playing offense, 3-6, it felt like a 7-0 run. If I'm being honest.
We should have Joshua Jefferson's dad, who used to play for the Browns, versus Carey's dad, if this is true, from Sci-Fan DD, where Carey's dad was an NFL lineman or tight end. One looked the part. Holy crap. I would sign that guy right now to an NFL team.
Yeah, we talked about that before the pod, too. We're like, Carey's like 260.
And he looked heavier. He looked heavier.
He's huge. He was jacked. Yeah, Rico Gathers. I mean, that was my first thought.
Sean Oakman fears that guy.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of when you play pickup and you play against a guy that clearly is not a basketball player, but he used to be a football player who's not like super coordinated, but he's still very athletic. So he's obviously a threat. You're like, this guy can't really dribble that well, but like he's just massive and he's more athletic than I am. Like I need to be concerned. That's exactly the Carey profile for him. Man, did it work out.
Be the worst guy to play hustle against. If like 21 hustle, like you go in the paint, you are getting a forearm check 5 feet. Like
and you're like, and if you're playing rec ball or just pick up it's stuff that you maybe if there's a ref would call, but when you're just playing 5-on-5 amongst yourself, it's like no one's ever going to say anything. And you're just like, God, this guy's just being way too physical. But you're never going to stop the game and be like, off the ball foul.
Yeah.
Although, did I tell you, I once called the offensive 3 seconds on someone at lead.
Did you at least give him get out of the lane?
Yes, okay. Multiple times. I was like, you cannot do this. I'm like, I'm sorry. He was my height. I'm 6'7". And I was like, even I'm not doing this, brother. Like, get out of the lane. Like, you've been in here for 10 seconds. Like, we're not doing this.
It's also pickup too. Like, if you're camping in the lane, what does that say about you? Like, oh, this is life or death. Oh my God, if I don't get this seal, I'm dead.
It's more about me that I called it, I think, than anything. But it was after multiple different times.
You're a keeper of the game.
He's on his 7th 3-second violation in a row. Like,
I was a ref too. I refed intramurals for 4 years. Like I enjoyed it, but I was like, dude, like get out of the lane. He's like, woo. And I'm like, no, just like make a small effort. I'm not telling you can't camp. It's rec basketball, but literally don't just plant your ass in the middle. real quick, I want to make sure we touch on this. So defensively, and Tom mentioned this, the big-to-big passing. Iowa State obviously was going to trap, force sideline for a third defender, try and shrink the floor for whoever their ball handler was, like on the trap on the PNR. So what Gillespie or Bishop or Basel or whoever it was doing was they were getting trapped, and immediately it was a bounce pass to the rolling big, who then immediately had a 2-on-1 on the back end. Because if you can start your pick and roll close enough to the 3-point line, that's an easier pass, and then you're playing 2-on-1 in the paint, as opposed to if you get pushed out, you give our guys a chance to scramble, recover, and make them think about it. What the three of us were texting about during this game was, I could not figure out for the life of me why we weren't sitting on the alley-oop further. Meaning, if Buchanan is the guy that's left to cover two defenders, you can either step up to the ball where that pass was made, or you can stay behind for the guy in the dunk spot. Okay, so you have to basically guess at that point. There's nothing else you can do. You're on an island, and you have to give a second, a half a second, whatever it is, to give your guys a chance to rotate, get in position to cover that extra person. They spammed the alley-oop 1,200 times before Buchanan finally was like, all right, I need to take a half a step back just to see what happens. And as soon as he did that, it was a layup. And I don't think that we did not have a counter for that. We tried zone at one point, which I was like, what? Why?
That
Like,
was
we
the white
haven't
flag.
played zone all year.
TJ running zone, never run it all year. It's a white flag.
Yeah, I mean, you do that because it's a rebounding thing, because you're not in a good position to rebound, and
But
it didn't work.
It's more difficult to rebound out of a zone, like objectively.
Yeah, because you're forcing longer shots, which is going to result in longer rebounding, which your guys are already sitting around the paint if you're in a zone like that. If you guys go back to the Texas Tech game in Hilton, Christian Anderson throwing the pocket pass the same way, that it's the same style. Like, we talk about, you got to have all this tape out. You got to watch the tape. You got to look at all these different counter moves. Self-scout is huge at this point. Like, you look at the NFL season, you see all these teams that are self-scouting when they get the one week bye in the playoffs, right? Like, Seahawks this year, I thought, did a great job of self-scouting. That's probably why they won. What did we do to figure out what that counter was going to be from the Texas Tech game? And you could argue maybe there wasn't anything. Like,
well, okay, but
that's the way you beat our trap. Like, we've all talked about that. That's the way you beat it. Quick passing and beat it quick. Like, then you can play the 2-on-1 as fast as possible. But he was playing an impossible game between giving up a paint floater and a dunk layup.
No doubt. And I think the primary difference I thought with Tech is that they would do pocket pass, but they would swing to a corner three. Tennessee wanted no part of that. They were big to big in your face, like it's an oop or it's a layup, which I just thought was interesting, because you're totally right. The strategy is the same. The outcomes are different.
I'd almost argue I like Tennessee's better too, because it's just kind of more to the point and in your face. I mean, it forced us in foul trouble more than we would like it. Like,
well, they have the personnel for it. Tech doesn't, so that's part of it too.
Yeah.
I looked at Tennessee's box score for like offense. I didn't know Amit had 18 points. Like 18 points, very quiet, and like shout out him, like yell at me. I thought our physical defense would take advantage of a freshman that every commenter would be like, he's like growing into his body, which AKA means you're soft. And he wasn't 100%, and he went out there and like he didn't even look bothered by our defense. Like, and I was a part of this. I drank the Kool-Aid. I was like rebounding. I was more worried about rebounding than other people, but it did get to the point where I was like, if you want to be more physical than a TJ style team, bring it on. Like, if that's your number one haymaker, bring it on. Now, they had athleticism probably as their 1A and physicality as their 1B. It turns out physicality isn't all in the heart. Turns out if you're more physical, you'll win the game. All those movies, all those sports movies that are like, if you have more heart, you'll win the game. Nope, not true. Not true. If you're more talented, you're going to win.
So
Yeah, the Jesse
I-
Palmer quote in the sorry, this is 2 seconds, but the Jesse Palmer quote in the first college football game that just re-released, not this most recent one, but he's like, sometimes it's not about the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes, like kind of that game.
Sure. Yeah. No, Tennessee wanted it more. That's why we lost, no doubt. If you guys had to guess, how many more extra shots, not counting free throws, just field goal attempts, do you think that Tennessee had over us? Just field goal attempts.
I'd say 10.
I was gonna say 11.
So they had 59. We had 54. Less than you would have thought, right?
Way less. Wow.
Way less. Thought that was interesting. I think part of it is the turnovers, right? Again, what we talked about ahead of time. How are we creating extra possessions? When you look at the 4 factors, right? So that's adjusted field goal percentage, turnover percentage, offensive rebound percentage, and then free throws per field goals attempted. Like Tennessee blew Iowa State out of the water in terms of how well they shot the ball. But from a turnover percentage perspective, they turned it over on 18.5% of their possessions as opposed to Iowa State's 14%. The offensive rebounding percentage, guys, 55-16. 55% of possessions Tennessee got their own miss. I've never seen something that high before. More than half.
I think Tristan Thompson was 40% in the finals the year that they lost Kyrie to the knee, and he got $80 million for that. Like,
yeah. Isn't that wild? So I thought that was crazy. Like I would have said shot attempts, 10 felt accurate, right? Only 5 seems low.
yeah, now I'm part of me is like, well, where can we find points then? Because I mean, 14-point loss, you only missed. I mean, there's a 5-shot variance. Where do you find the missing points? You could go free throw magnitude, but I mean, both teams shot the same percentage, 60%, 60%. Like, where do you find them?
It's the location of said shots. I don't have KenPom up. I would imagine the 2-point was it the 2-point attempt metric is a good one. I'd be interested to see what that looks like.
I want to look at the shot chart.
I
mean, if you look at the shot chart, I can't share it because it's on ESPN, but we shoot way more threes than they do variance wise, and everything's in the paint or right free throw line ish.
Thoughts on a box and one, Torre and Taman on Gillespie. TJ went away from the trap way too late. The box and one, what are you trying to stop with that?
Gillespie went 2 of 11 from 3. Like, he really wasn't like he got some important buckets at the rim, but he wasn't like doing it for them. And then if you go, that's basically 4-on-4 and more spacing for their big guys is their post to post passing. Like,
Yeah, more isolation post moves or
Yeah.
post work. Like,
I understand the thought. I guess my question would just be, what are you attempting to stop when you're doing that? I think it just makes things harder for our defense. The moral of the story is that there was not an easy answer. Like we're not just sitting here being like, oh, if they would have done this, like they would have easily won the game. Like, no, there's no real realm of possibility that we had any business winning this game, barring a pretty almost perfect shooting performance, which was not happening. So let's hop away from this game for a little bit since we've been going for a little while. But any other closing thoughts? Where did you guys watch?
We all talked about it. We were all in good spots. We had like I had the research behind mine. I was like 10-2 watching it with my buddy. We were all in good vibes locations. So the loss isn't on us, just for the record.
I will admit, with 2 minutes to go, I bailed and went home.
I drove all the way to Des Moines to watch the game.
That's worse. Yeah,
That was
that's
fun. Also, fun fact, one of my friends dates a girl that went to the University of Tennessee, and they both showed up to the bar in Tennessee gear. Was cool. They all got booed very loudly when they entered, and it wasn't like we weren't like friends, like me and one of my really good friends from college We let them have it every basket, but seeing the orange in the crowd was bad vibes. But
Where'd you watch it?
Johnny's in Des Moines.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to put myself in that environment, but at the same time, I'm 24. I want to watch it with my friends and hopefully experience a win. Nope.
Did you get sound like you were hoping for?
Yeah, we got sound. I was very worried about that. I was about to go up to the DJ like 15 minutes before the game started, but then they had sound for the UConn Michigan State game. So I'm like, if they have it for this, we got it for the Clones, we're good. But the vibes were bad. Vibes were really bad, guys. Because that game was so late. We got over at 11:45. Me and my buddy Josh, we left the bar and we just took a walk. Talked about the game, bro style. We came back to the bar and it was midnight and we're like, do we either go out and try to forget the night or do we just go home? And we went home. Not great.
Where'd you watch, Nate?
I was gonna go to my hometown bar, watch the game there. Didn't. End up watching with my dad on the couch. Got fairly wasted with him, to be honest with you. And we forgot about it very quickly because F1 qualifying was on at midnight. So it was a nice parlay to take it right off, take your mind off it. But I think if I didn't have that, I would have been a lot more pissed off. It was a frustrating watch, but it kind of felt like you're watching a car wreck that you knew was going to happen. Like you're just watching the video of the footage afterward. Like it's kind of what it felt like watching live.
It's a great comparison because you're like, maybe they can overcorrect and use the ice to an advantage and maybe turn the car correctly.
But you already know that like there's already one of the wheels has been gone for half a mile. Like
guys, you're missing this. You're thinking that it's a car that can correct yourself, but then you find out it's a tiger that's driving.
And you look through the window and you're like, we never stood a chance.
Yeah.
him sitting, the footage of him going to the knee today is so awesome.
Did you see he called Trump?
Well, I mean, because his girlfriend, his significant other is like Eric Trump's ex-wife or something like that. This is awesome. Great news story, by the way. This is awesome.
Very funny. Yeah, the memes are spectacular.
He better not drop out of the Masters.
Well, he said he's stepping away.
Play, win it all.
Is his rehab facility conveniently in Augusta, Georgia?
Honestly, I would argue there's no better place to get right than Augusta. You have nothing but golf to worry about.
No phones either.
There and just keep playing it. Just keep playing it.
I watched it. I watched the game at my buddy's house in Uptown Dallas, and I had to drive home. So I was a good boy because I had to be, and that's a good thing because if not, like you put the personal handcuffs on. Lion would never do drugs and drive, but a Tiger Woods. Damn right, John Bach. I put the personal handcuffs on, and it was. So I made it home safe and sound and opened up my E.H. Taylor and watched the first part of the Nuremberg movie on Netflix. I had to remind myself that there's more important things in this world.
I need a T-shirt of Sean's quote of "I had to be a good boy because I had to be."
I had to watch Nazi war crime.
I did.
To take my mind off of an elite Sweet 16.
I'm sorry, I did. I did. I literally guys, I was in a bad way. I turned my phone on do not disturb for the drive home, and my buddies were like, "Did he make it home okay?"
Surprised it wasn't like Alice in Chains on the stereo, just depressed music the whole way home.
90s grunge, dude. 90s grunge. It was bad. I'm not gonna watch a game until I'll watch the Natty on Monday because I have to, but I'm not watching the Final Four. Like when they do the intros, I'm gonna be like, we will never have this. We're never gonna have this. Iowa was one win away.
That would have been bad. Okay, this question. has been on the internet. Who had a better season, Iowa or Iowa State? I have been avoiding answering it because I think it might be Iowa. Because for 95% of our season, we've said it's Elite Eight or bust. For Iowa, it's just been setting the culture the entire time and making players and recruits want to play for Ben at Iowa after what they've been through with Fran. And not only did they do that, then they did it on a national stage and beat their rival in a Sweet 16 to not totally diminish, but Nebraska was riding a high, and then all of a sudden that high was slapped out of their hand, and they beat a 1-seed Florida. That's my opinion. But then again, you could easily snap my fingers and be like, you know what, it was Iowa State. But for 95% of our season, we thought Elite Eight or bust. And you can go like we had an All-American. We were a 2-seed, better wins, ranked in the top 10 all year. Like, yes, but like who had a better season? It's not who had better accurate, like better wins, better awards, stuff like that. That's just me, though. Probably wrong.
I don't know if there is a right answer. I mean, I would probably say that Iowa went further. We beat them, probably had a better year in terms of memorable, but Ben McCollum did everything that is advertised. He won in the Big Ten tournament. He won in the real tournament. He's been winning a lot consistently. I think if anything, he made a statement to the rest of the state, the rest of the country, saying like, hey, this program is no longer what it was. It's a new day. I think we should take that as such, and we should think that, hey, we have some motivation in state as well. Not only do we have that, but we also have Coach Green up at UNI too that we're going to want to compete against. I'm sure that's not a light thing. And TJ's old assistant coach is at Drake in Henderson. So I guess, yeah, if you want to touch on this comment, that's probably how I would say.
Yeah, first responders 72. Iowa State had a better season, but Iowa had a better tournament. Agree completely. I think that's a great way to put it.
But like even then, like I don't want to keep talking about it, but Iowa's season, like if they would have lost in the first round of Clemson, you would have been like, yeah, that was disappointing. We ended the season losing to Penn State, but we set the precedent. We had a great year. Like Iowa is.
But Tom, what precedent? They did the same thing that Fran's teams have done. They did the exact same thing. The only difference is that they won 3 tournament games.
I think it's very different from Fran's first 4 years for what Ben did, because he was selling out the place in his first year. The fans weren't.
Not really. Not really.
He sold out for multiple games.
That was more than Fran did at the end.
And it was more than Fran was doing at the beginning.
All I saw was Hassel tweeting about how Iowa fan support wasn't enough all year.
At the games, they sold out against UCLA. They sold out against Purdue.
Okay.
I don't know. Like they had one thing to do and they did it. And for 95% of the season, we had one thing and we didn't do it. Yeah, Jefferson got injured, but like at the end of the day, we didn't do it.
Shouldn't it matter that we were better than them for the entirety of the season, though?
I get that, but it's like who had a better season with their goals. Like I don't know necessarily. Like yes, we beat them head to head, but they accomplished their goal. We did not. They had their season. We did not perform well enough in our season to be happy with it. Like nobody's happy the way our season ended, whether it's the injury, whether it's we couldn't be tough enough or more athletic enough to beat Tennessee, and we were in the top 10 all year.
I like this comment from E. Havren. Iowa took a bigger step from their previous season, so it feels better. I think if you think of it in magnitudes, like the expectation was here, like maybe a third to a half of what Iowa State's expectation was this year. They probably met kind of the same level. I mean, both got to the second weekend. Like we thought that was our floor. That was probably their ceiling. We hit our floor. They hit their ceiling. What are we like? Yeah,
I'm just saying based only season. Like this is it. Like Ben has to recruit. He has to go through the portal. He has to play without starts. Like he has to do all of that. I'm not saying they're in a better spot for multiple seasons. And again, like you could twist my arm, you could hit me with a couple facts. I'd probably change my mind. But I don't know.
There's not-
Just the way the season ended. Like, I don't know.
I think the fact that we're talking about it is the answer for us. So, honestly,
Yep.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
So I'm arguing with you, Tom, but the fact that it's an argument is the answer. So, all right, let's move off of the tournament for a little bit. How do you think this team's going to be remembered? I mean, I saw a couple comments online this week, and I think someone else was asking the same question, and someone said they won't be. To which I will say, you're probably right. It's going to be another asterisk. It's going to be less meaningful than the 2014 team that lost George in the tournament, because that team won the Big 12 tournament. That was the start of this new modern era of Iowa State basketball that actually won meaningful games, right? The prior 2 years did great things, had a couple upsets and won, but not at as high a level as 2014 did. So that team is always going to be remembered more fondly, because also we lost to the eventual national champs, right? So if you get past UConn, it's really easy to make the transitive argument that, maybe it could have been us. I don't think that we can say the same thing about this team, even with Jefferson healthy. Like, if you saw what Michigan did to Tennessee, it feels awfully similar to losing to Illinois to watch them get steamrolled by UConn. We're going to see in the Final Four.
Yes.
As we sit right now, I don't know.
I think I agree with that take. I think this team is probably remembered in a less positive light than the team that lost to Illinois, because we won the Big 12 tournament. Because I think that team had higher highs, believe it or not, even though we did have the great start to the year. I think our highs on that Illinois team were higher than this year.
Yeah, fair.
Even with the Purdue game, even though I really did enjoy the Purdue. I think I'll remember the Purdue game. That might be the main thing I remember from this year. Like, that was a really cool moment.
I agree. And then you look back on it, and it low-key had a little less to do with basketball than it did with football and what was going around the university and the athletic department. And then this goes towards basketball, don't get me wrong, but like we needed that win so bad just for that weekend, just to see a win against number one in the nation on the road. Like, you just needed that. So I do agree. I think that is the standout point there of, like, that was so needed. And I agree. I think the Illinois team had higher highs. Like, the best team they played at Houston, they lost that game by like 6, and they were in it the entire game. The best team we played, Arizona, we weren't in that game at all. Now, this Arizona team is a lot better than that Houston team, obviously, clearly. But that Illinois team, I would agree, they had higher highs. And the way the season went, they put a win streak together, and then they won. Like, I don't know the exact number, but it was like 7 of their last 9. You lose to Tang, and then you beat Tang in the Big 12 tournament, followed by beating Baylor and Houston. Like, yeah, I would agree.
I think this is a good comment here. I always think of the Big 12 semi when I think of 26. Yeah, interesting, because I think about the 13-14 year the same way in terms of a loss defining the season. And I'm not talking about Ohio State. I'm talking about the Kansas game with Elijah Johnson. That will always remind me, that will be the moment from that year that sticks out above Aaron Kraft, funny enough, because it felt like we were this close to being coronated the next best thing in the Big 12, and ended up fumbling that game away through no fault of our own for the most part. And then obviously get to the tournament, do what you're supposed to do against Notre Dame, and then lose a heartbreaker against Ohio State. But that Kansas game will stick with me, even though it wasn't super meaningful. Same way this Arizona game, not that it wasn't meaningful. Whether we lost to Houston next game, I would argue most fans would say fine either way, right? Like, you won it, but it's not going to determine how the season is remembered. But interesting thought, right? What if that shot doesn't go down?
Yeah, I mean, to John's point, they are the favorite with Michigan, and they're playing each other. Like, if you should just bet both of them to win the national title, because one of them will probably beat UConn. I think that's the final. But I think if you look back at that, we were 2 points worse than the national title on a really difficult buzzer beater. That's kind of a fun memory. Still sucks on the wrong side of it, but
I mean, that's the problem though, is that we've got a Purdue win that circumstantially was the most satisfying win of the last 10 years. Interesting list to come up with. The only other game I could think of was the Houston Big 12 championship game in terms of satisfying, not best, just how did it feel in the moment? And did you kind of sigh and go, yeah, like that felt good. Like that Purdue game and that Houston game are the only two that really come to mind that are that similar to each other. Like the Houston game at Hilton was awesome. I will always remember the shot making at the end of that one. But we saw that to a greater extent against Arizona in the tournament. I think that's why that one's kind of a little more numb.
Yeah, I think of that game, the Heisey no-dip 3, but it was Bateman. He had 2 huge threes. And I look back, and I'm like, wow, was that the start of Bateman? No, it wasn't, because where was he during the Tennessee game? Like, we needed a shooter. We needed an offensive spark so bad. And it's not his fault. He shouldn't be in that position as a shooting guard freshman to make a play like that in the Sweet 16 to help your offense. But it's just like every fun part you look back on this season, I think goes to the 2 losses of the Arizona loss, and it goes towards the Tennessee loss.
Just to be clear, Bateman 1 of 6 against Tennessee, Iowa State with 3 total bench points.
And 0 of 4 from deep, I believe, too. 0 of 4 or 0 of 3.
1 of 6 from the field.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, and I think that's why this stinks, because this is probably going to be the last pod we do, at least for a little while we figure out our schedule and what the offseason looks like. I think that's just as a whole for Fanatic and CF After Dark, right? We'll still be bringing stuff to everyone, but it's probably not going to be in the level of detail that you get from the 3 of us in terms of, well, in the pick and roll coverage, they love the pocket pass into the out. Like we don't have that to share when there are no games being played. So I think that was part of it too that really made me a little bit sad, was because there's a lot of effort that went into this season, right? Especially from the 3 of us and getting into the groove. That was a tough pill to swallow, because with the Jefferson injury, the writing was on the wall when we talked about it the prior week. But you never want to say the quiet part out loud, right? Like we all knew at some point or another that the end was coming. I think that the way that it happened, you just wanted to see us go down swinging, and we couldn't.
I think the part that stings for me is like this was somewhat of the culmination of TJ's first 5 years. I mean, this is Lipsy's last game across 4 years. I think anyone that's listening to this podcast would say he's a Cyclone legend. I don't think that's really a debate, but you lose this game, you lose him, you lose Jefferson. I don't know officially Milan's status, but I can't imagine he's not at least testing the NBA waters.
He is.
Yeah. So, and you lose your 2 top assistants. Now, granted, they both get head jobs, and I think it's very much earned in both cases. And I'm really happy for Coach Green too, because like getting to go back to like where you start, like that's cool. Where you truly want to be. It's similar to how TJ truly wants to be here. I think that's why we've seen, some of the things he said about, the North Carolina job. Like, hey, I'm committed here. Like, I think Coach Green was always really waiting for Jacobson to step away so that he could have it. But it's tough. Like, the path forward's not as clear as it has been.
Which I don't love, but it will be cool to see some fresh blood. Like Wiggins, Kiss, you're going to get a transfer. You're going to get a starting 4.
Yusuf Gray.
Yeah, like you're going to get new blood, which will be cool. I don't like losing your top 2 assistants, one who worked with the guards, when you have 2 freshmen, very talented guards that, I think a lot of people are expecting to make a jump. So that stinks, really stinks. I think that I'm not worried about, but most interested during the offseason with. And then I think what stinks the most for me is Jefferson, because he was by far my favorite player on this team. And it's not like the Niang situation where, like, in the Sweet 16, you're like, yeah, he did wasn't able to play, and you're against probably the national championship team, but like, careful with the language. Very true. Very true. Head coaching jobs, but
Hey, nothing wrong with getting a head job.
that's a good point. But
Did I say something wrong there?
no, I didn't hear
No.
anything wrong.
Okay.
Just a heads up for future. But it's Jefferson because he didn't get 2 more years at Iowa State. That was it. He didn't get to play anymore. You saw the press conference. He said he probably wasn't he wasn't going to play against Michigan. He wasn't ready. He knew his career was done unless you somehow make it to the Final Four without him and you get an extra week off. But even then, like that stung so much, and probably more because he was my favorite player. But like he no longer gets to play basketball for Iowa State.
Can I interject for a second? Do you think it's better? I think it's better that we know that he wasn't going to be able to go against Michigan.
Oh no, that is better. No, it's worse that he didn't get to have another year. You know, like Niang did. Niang had 2 more years.
Yeah.
Jefferson, he's done. He has to live with that he didn't get to play anymore for Iowa State.
Right. And I think that he cemented him. It's the second best individual season we've had since Pfizer. And I don't know if that's up for debate. I get Edgem won player of the year, and I get that George did a lot of great things. There's not someone that I would take ahead of Pfizer and then Jefferson in that order with what he did, like as a whole.
I'd agree.
Is there anyone want to argue with that? I don't think you can.
I don't have any numbers to argue with.
I think if you have to dive for numbers, that is telling a little bit.
Yeah.
If you have to deep dive for hours to maybe come up with a comparison that could debate, that's too many steps. Like, no. He had 2 triple-doubles this year. The most, like, any Iowa State player only had 1, right? Nobody's ever had 2.
Yeah, that's probably enough.
In 1 season, yes.
That's probably enough.
Here's the hardest pill to swallow for me is that all year, I think we have been telling ourselves that we had a chance to make the Final Four, right? Like, hey, this team is good enough that they can make it. True, yes, we have been saying that for the majority of the year. Hey, this has a chance to be the best team in school history. The numbers said so. The schedule, for the most part, said so.
The start said so.
Right. Everyone was saying so in some regard. You have a chance to get to the Final Four. You have a chance to be the best team ever. And I think that even if you go back and listen to our preview pod at the beginning of the year, we didn't think that. We thought that we were going to be slightly worse than last year with maybe a higher floor, let's just say, but the ceiling had been lowered. They shot out of the gate with beyond expectation, which planted the flag for a very lofty goal as we made our way into conference play. Okay. From that point on, though, expectations are difficult to come by. We lost a couple of games, maybe we should, but that's college basketball, right? Like everyone loses games they're not supposed to. And looking back, like losing to Cincinnati and TCU, like mean nothing to me. Like in the moment, it stinks, but like that doesn't bother me. That doesn't change the trajectory of our season. We thought that maybe we could compete for the Big 12 regular season title, but even if we wouldn't have dropped those 2, we still would have lost. Like it doesn't matter. We would have been a 2 seed. So then you make your way to the tournament, but going down to Jefferson and then getting exposed the way we did without the lack of balance and size that we had, honestly, super depressing. No, like it just made me feel like we're further away than we ever have been, which is the exact opposite of how I have felt the entirety of the year. And I understand that it's not fair to say that when you lose your consensus All-American. Like, I get it. I'm just saying from a feelings perspective, it's so hard not to be so sad about this. Like it sucks. Like this is therapy. Like there's not one part of me that feels good about this. Like I'm not watching basketball to the national championship game. Sorry.
No, you're right. You're right. Like, and like next year, new blood. It's gonna be cool to see those guys, but at the same time, like
there's gonna be an adjustment phase. It's gonna be
very
really similar to like that first year Gilbert Curtis Jones kind of thing.
But even then, though, like those guys were veterans. They've been through a couple wars. We have 2 sophomore guards. Like It's veteran guards day in, day out. You would want to go to the last play in the Duke UConn game. There was a post. He threw it to his true freshman point guard. And what does he do? He tries to throw it over 2 defenders for zero reason. Like, it's veteran guards day in and out. And Bateman and Torrey rock, but they're going to be sophomores. And whether Milan's back or not, they're going to have pressure. Even with Milan back, there's a lot of pressure on those guys.
I finished Nuremberg. I watched Darkest Hour and Bugonia in the span of like 4 days, so I'm good. Bugonia is wild, by the way. I don't know if you guys are movie buffs. It's very strange. Very weird.
Rewatching the Dunes right now.
So good. That soundtrack I listen to when I work sometimes just to get me motivated.
Yeah. Anything Hans Zimmer is.
I think next year's team is going to struggle in stretches, which is the problem. And that's, Tom, that's what you're saying. I mean, it's like, this is not just a solution that fixes itself overnight. And I have all the faith in the world in TJ, and especially the offseason development. Like, I'm excited for Plata. I'm excited for Bateman. I'm excited for Torre to see what happens when you give them a full offseason in the TJ program. Like, our ceiling is drastically different and our floor drops out. Like, you think that we lost games that we shouldn't have this year when you have more freshmen playing major minutes with portal
The variance. Yeah.
It's just,
It's going to be the year that you look back on when this freshman class are juniors and seniors and have battles under their belt. And you look back to this year when they had to do it without Taman, without Jefferson. It's going to be, you have to do it. You have to adjust your thought process with the upcoming team. Maybe they surprise us, kind of like this team did a little bit, but I don't think to the measure that this team did.
Do we need to set our expectations kind of more in like the year we played Pitt, the year we played Wisconsin, the year, like those kind of years? Is that kind of what we need to expect with, call it a younger team? Is that, Floor is probably making March Madness. Teachers made it every year. I think that's probably going to be in the cards unless the bottom really falls out. Do we think we're trying to go for a Sweet 16 ceiling next year? Or what's kind of our outlook? I mean, we have no idea who our next 2 assistant coaches are going to be. We don't really know who our starting 5 is going to be right now. A lot of this stuff is speculation. We don't really know the ceiling. We don't really know the floor. But right now, there's not enough to say anything. So it could just be infinite loss or infinite gain. Like, what would you guys think?
Check back with me in 2 months when we know what the roster looks like, obviously, but that's a cop-out answer. I mean, based on what we know right now, I think it's going to be really hard not to say 5 seed ceiling.
I was going to go 6.
Yeah, somewhere right there.
I mean, that's fine. It could be a BYU 6 seed. I would say that would be a win with a bunch of young guys.
Here's the question: would you, knowing what we know right now, what's the seed number that you sign up for? The highest.
4.
For the
6, so you avoid a 1. I have no college basketball could be different next year. The 1s could not be crazy amazing, but with a young team,
I would beat Florida. Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, that game, the whole Iowa thing with the pace stuff is crazy to me because they bucked trends, because usually balance gets you furthest to kind of make sure that your variance is a little bit less either way, right? Like the trapezoid of excellence. Shout out Ryan Hammer. We should try and get him on the pod, by the way. The fact that they were able to slow that game down as much as they did against a team that was so much larger than them, super impressive. I can't say it any other way.
The crazy part was sometimes they just let them run their fast break, and it worked because when they missed their shot because their guards aren't good. That was the whole storyline this season. When they missed it, their post players weren't in position to grab a rebound, no matter how tall they were, because guess what? They were on a fast break and they shot the shot 3 seconds in the shot clock. Like Iowa, McCollum just kind of ran circles around Golden, and especially like Golden. I don't mind the fouling when you're up 2. I don't hate it in scenarios. But pressing and automatically, like, you didn't even put 2 guys on Sturts. You put like 1, and then you had a chaser already starting behind. Like, I didn't really get the execution. I understood the thought process a little bit, but then a millisecond into the play, they're already running a 3-on-2.
I think Golden's going to be remembered more of like a Kevin Ollie type coach. Like, he got one, but did he? Like, if you really look back, like, I think Duke probably should have won last year. Houston had a chance at the buzzer, and Sharp pulled a stupid. Like, he won that more on luck than I think most titles are won on. But that's just my opinion.
Did you see his tournament record? It's like 0-1, 1-1, 6-0, 2-1, or whatever. Like, it's not exactly impressive, but he's got an Addy. So I mean, you're not going to hear me complain about it.
Yeah, some of those Clayton shots that he hit in that tournament were pretty crazy. But also, shout out, hey, he recruited him. He got him. He got him to stay. Yeah.
I mean, all right. So that brings us to the point, because that's my question for you, Tom, and Nate, is like, that to me feels like if you're going to wait list the type of guy that we need to have on this team next year, sure kind of feels like a ball dominant scorer is the number one thing on the list, right?
It's what we were missing this year. I would much rather have a ball dominant scorer type at the guard spot than what we had this year, to be honest with you.
I'd agree.
Would you sacrifice height to do that?
Yes, because we've done that for the last 3 years.
To what extent?
5'10". We've already been playing with 5'10" guards the last 3 years.
And defensively, you don't think that's an issue with the way that we play?
Depends on how many of those guards are 5'10". Are you recruiting 1 or are you recruiting 3 of them? Like
1.
Yeah, if you're getting 1, you can make up the difference with 6'3", 6'4" somewhere else. But
just humor me for a second. If there's a guard that's potentially 6 feet tall or 5'11", who is a ball dominant scorer, then maybe we're not quite sure what his defensive ceiling would be.
Pay him. Pay that man.
Yeah.
There might be a guy entering the portal that would fit that description. Who knows?
Does he play for a Big 12 team by chance?
He does not. But no.
Then
Wiggins, maybe.
We're talking about 2 different guys, by the way.
Yeah, I have no idea who we're talking about at all.
I thought we were talking about someone from Colorado.
Oh, don't get me started on him. I want him. There's
Talking
another
about
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I want Isaiah Johnson. I want him. He was my preseason Colorado guy. His dad coached Dwayne Wade, LeBron, all them.
Broke Colorado's all-time freshman scoring record in a season. He had the best offense for efficiency out of all Power 5 freshmen, which included a pretty good class. He dropped 25 against Arizona. Like, that's just some notes of him. I was thinking of another guy too, from a non-Power 5, but we can get into that later.
No. I was, and for the record, there's no smoke to this. He just announced that he was in the portal. Like, there's nothing that we know that no one else does. He's 6'1", by the way.
But I would pay that guy because his dad is an NBA trainer. Yeah, because you remember that when we were playing them and they were like, his dad was training Dwayne Wade and all them. Like,
yeah,
that kid grew up doing the same workouts probably right afterward. Like, I want that kid for his junior, senior year. He'll make a shot in March.
Yeah. So that's circle back. So that's position fill number 1, because Torre, love him, great dog, right? Like, you need that guy on your team. Like, we can check that box. You need that ball hawk. Ball dominant scorer is probably number 1 on my wish list. A point guard, preferably. And then number 2, I would say, is the Jefferson position of some capacity. The problem is that you can't replace everything that he's doing, at once. So that's an All-American. That doesn't just happen overnight. You need someone that's going to rebound but has kind of that offensive skill set. Personally, I'm willing to sacrifice defense for someone that can put the ball in the basket. But that's going to be dependent upon who your ball dominant guard is going to be, because you can't put 2 guys out there that are like, okay, on defense, you need one of them needs to be excellent.
Yeah,
I
you
would
can't- you
sacrifice
can't
the
rob
passing, I think.
The passing, you said?
The passing, just because Buchanan's very good passer for a center, and then Torre and Bateman, I think, would be a lot better with their vision and passing as sophomores. But yeah, I think if you have to give up passing and a little bit of defense for that 4 spot, who we're probably getting from the portal, who's going to start, like, yeah, absolutely.
I think if you find an effective back to the basket, 3-level scoring 4, which is what Jefferson was, I think the passing comes automatically. with the
System, you
modern
mean?
game. Like, if you're getting him in an ISO back down 2 to 3 dribbles, right? Like where Jefferson go crab, he's kind of looking across the court, right? Like, that's kind of the modern way of thinking in the post anyways. I think that pass is a lot easier than we think it is. At least the cross court one. Now, obviously, some guys don't make it, but I think that's easier than we think. But I would sacrifice defense for that. Like, I would be totally fine getting a net negative defender or just complete negative just to have that, because I think we could make it up in the aggregate, like you're saying, Sean.
This is kind of breaking news, except we're 40 minutes late on it, and he hasn't come up on the wish list at all, but Flory has entered the portal / declared for the draft. I don't think he goes to the draft. I think he's testing the waters. Going to the portal is pretty interesting to me, but sign him up.
Where does he fit?
I mean, he fits at the 5. You'd have to sacrifice Blake, unfortunately.
Where
And I like Blake. Nothing against him, but I would like to have Flory. Have them both.
I'm not even entertaining it. Sorry.
Why not?
That'd be so much. That'd be such a big part of our budget for
Can't afford it.
And if Milan comes back, it'd be like 50%,
double
60%.
How are we? We're gonna score like 55 points a game. Like,
Yeah.
You just do Girl Scout cookies before every game. You know, that plays for Flory, and then why not?
Is that all he eats or something?
No, it's just revenue. It's revenue for the NIL.
We're gonna sell girl. Okay, yeah. Boy Scout
Here's
popcorn.
here's what I'm going to continue to say. I think you continue to sacrifice defense in the way of offense. I've been ringing this bell for years. Like, our defense, the system is excellent. Like, the number 1 defense against Tennessee would not have prevented us from losing that game. But do you know what is always better than good defense? Good offense. So whatever we need to do to move in that direction, that's the direction that I want to go in, because like we already saw what the first part of Bots era looked like. I think looking back, it's a combination of taking guys who are available, who fit the system as a whole. And then like, if they have some kind of offensive game, you're just like, great, like Brockington, like great fit. You know what I mean? Like Kalsher, like not a good offensive fit, but he played great defense, you know, and that was something that Otts felt early on, especially when you look at the tempo change year over year. Like, we had to slow it down and grind it out when we didn't have any, like we had no firepower. So why were we going to try and play and get into a track meet? Like, you got to grind out possession. Same thing Iowa did. That's how you win games when you're less talented. I want to continue to go in the direction where firepower over anything else. Like, we're not doubting effort. He's going to find the guys that fit the system. If our defense drops from 5 to 10 or 15, if that means our offense stays in the top 5 all year, then like, sign up for that a heartbeat.
Yeah, if we can be more consistently in the 80s, and I think you win a lot more games. And we're talking about a team that went 29-8. Like, can you make it? Can you make it? 33-4 because I think but I think to your point, Sean, that's a lot more realistic with,
But here's the problem, because then when you go back to thinking about what happens if we play against the Tennessee, like none of the things that we are talking about necessarily solve that problem. Like that's why this is so difficult. Like you have a scorer that maybe can take Gillespie off the dribble instead of Taman, like someone who's more comfortable off the bounce. Like, does that change the outcome of the game? Like, I don't think so.
What are we doing in terms of vertical athleticism? Because I think that's another thing too. Like we have not had the Deontay Burton dunker. We haven't had anybody that's getting really above the rim. Like I think that's probably been the entire Otts era. I don't think we've had anybody outside of maybe Hassan Ward, but he was 7 feet tall.
That spot is open.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't think Michigan State is a very well-constructed roster. I don't think they've been well-constructed probably for the last decade. But Cohen Carr would have been a nice piece to have on our team this year. Like, I don't think he's necessarily a great player, but he would have been fun to have.
He also knows that he is not a good shooter because he is one of the best off-ball movement players I've ever seen. Screening, moving, back cutting, no matter what, Izzo has screamed at him for standing in the corner one too many times. He is never standing still unless he's about to shoot the ball.
Cliff Dog mentions we did have Omaha. He could have been that. I think he could have if he was more mentally committed.
The athleticism was there, but I also think the tape is a little misleading for playing in Iowa. No offense to people.
Yeah, he doesn't have like the fluidity to his game. He's a really rigid, like you got to do everything kind of robotic. I mean, they called him offensively challenged and on the staff. So
I'll never truly think that he would play a huge part with that team, because we had a lot of depth pieces already that year. But him missing a lot of the offseason because he was a part of the under 18 or the under 19, whatever USA team, I think that played a big role in how that season went from, in my opinion. Like you just weren't able to get comfortable. The offseason workouts you're already behind.
I don't think he had it.
Dwayne Pierce style.
Yeah, a little bit. I think, enough people tell you you're so good forever. Eventually, you're so good forever in your own mind and you don't really need to do things. But anyways, yeah, we're just talking athleticism, Sean. Like
we've got it so off track. We're talking about.
Oh, I don't have it.
So
I don't have it. Is that what you're talking about?
No, we're talking about somehow Omaha Baloo came up.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, we need
that's the spot.
We need like 3 or 4 guys that can dunk off of standing vert.
Oh yeah, no, those guys are everywhere. We should just go to the big guys who can dunk a tree and then just grab them.
I do think they're out there though. Like I just don't think we've been like. Am I crazy for saying that's that simple? Or
I mean, I think you are probably throwing away quite a bit of other traits that you need if you're going to get a guy that wants to do that. So explain this to me in more detail because I clearly missed out.
Like I want someone that does the things that our guys do. Like, can we have a scoring guard? Can we have a center back to the basket 4 that can jump?
Yeah, that agreed.
Like that's all I'm asking. Can we do just one additional thing? Can we jump? Can we finish above contact? Can we finish above and through contact? Can we finish over people? Like,
I thought you meant we want 3 to 4 of those guys in the portal.
Oh no, we're not going to get that in the portal. I'm just saying total. Like if we could have 3 or 4 on the roster, yeah, portal. I mean,
I was like, Nate, that seems a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, like no, I smoking crack or something, but that's kind of like, which I mean, teach their own. But like, who am I to judge?
Agreed. Stellar D and will come for less than $500,000. I love that idea.
Like, not that we need like Demarion Watson types that are like it's just athleticism. Like this is a like, can you do that and like can you create your own basket?
How about this? Taller Heisey?
Yeah, 6'7" Heisey. Send it. Pay all of those guys. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I want. Like, can we get the poor man's Karchenkov? Can we get, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm looking for.
That's going to be so from a roster position perspective. I'm trying to do this off the cuff, even though I have a computer right in front of me. This feels like a Tom question because we have how many spots open with the freshmen coming in?
3. If you go up to 15, and gun to my head, I think Mitchell or Mason Williams would leave. I think one of the two would. So that would be 4. But, you know, some programs, and I think us, sometimes we don't go up to 15 all the time.
No. But for major NIL perspective, let's call it 3 just to be safe.
Yeah.
So ball dominant scorer, we need that replacement 4. And then your third person, Nate, do you want that to be the Heisey type, or you're saying that you want that to be the starting 4?
No, I think if you're getting the back to the basket 4 already in the portal, I think you could get that, you know, Heisey XL type, you know, like if you can go how we went from Trey King to Josh Jefferson, can we go from Heisey to, you know, that next step, you know? Cliff Dog also comments, any of the freshman recruits really athletic but a good scorer. I'd say Wiggins, Yusuf Gray. Like, we actually have a lot surprising, which is nice.
I think it's going to be really interesting. And then this hasn't even talked about, you know, replacing 2 actual coaches on your staff. Like, that's a huge deal.
Is this, I mean, I don't think our defense is going to be different, but
Operationally, though, it
might be.
Yeah.
I don't think the principles would change, but
I'm interested because you have 2 open spots. One's going to be defensive, I would think, and the other one will be interesting. That's the one I'm more interested with because defensively, you have the system in place. You can help them learn the system. That I don't think is a huge deal. I don't like it's in the same offseason that Torrey and Bateman are supposed to make a jump. Don't love that, but I'm interested about the other guy. Is it going to be recruiting base? Is it going to be help with the guards? Like, what are we looking with here?
Roster management,
because yeah. So
where's the recruiting background?
I would like to get a little coast, east or west.
I don't know if that's going to happen under Otts with just how he's always ran this. Like, I don't think we're going to get a lot of players from the South ever at Iowa State. And that was made very clear after his first year and a half when all the kids from the Prom era left because he doesn't like that style of player. And for good or bad, it's personal preference. I kind of want us to promote from within a little bit. I would like to see Garrett maybe get moved up a little bit. I think they brought him in probably in a little bit of preparation for this happening. Trying to think what's all out there in terms of assistant coaches. I don't really have a good database of like who would be looking for jobs. I will say I would expect this to be very quick. Final Four is this weekend. I would say 90 to 95% of any college basketball coach will be at the Final Four this weekend. We should have our assistant coaches probably by this time next week.
The pump party. That's where they're going to be.
Yep. You ever been?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's so fun, dude. It's so fun.
The Rico
I snuck in one year. It was great.
You've been to one? You've been to a pump party?
Yeah, I went when it was in Houston. I think that was the second UConn in a row. It was the FAU,
Miami, yeah, San Diego State.
Yeah, UConn. And it was right after Rodney Terry signed his extension. Was as I was walking in, and like everyone's like, "Oh, Rodney, congratulations!" And like I'm the bouncer's like kind of looking at like all these 15 coaches, like kind of like shaking this guy's hand. He's got the Auburn jacket on, everything. I sneak right by. But because you have to have a ticket to get in, I did not have one.
I'm sorry. So what is this?
So I love a good sports conspiracy. So there are these 2 individuals who have been running college basketball for, I would say, the last 25 years. Their name, or even further, maybe 40. Dana and David Pump. They are based out of Southern California. They used to be Adidas reps. And back in the day, if you remember the 2008 Final Four, the only team that wasn't Adidas that year, this is the first year that all 4 1 seeds made the Final Four.
Kansas, Memphis, UNC.
UCLA, and UNC. Okay. The only team that wasn't Adidas was UNC. Now you have guys like Derrick Rose going from Chicago and all of a sudden end up in Memphis at an Adidas school. You got a bunch of West Coast kids going to Kansas that happen to be Adidas schools. Dana and David were pushing Adidas. They funneled money from Adidas to their AAU programs, and they would place players. Kind of why Kansas was so good for so long. And if anyone wants to debate that with me, talk to me offline. I know it's a fact. I also know a few other things that I can't say on this podcast that come with our head coach and those 2 guys in early days, but I won't put that here. But they're out there, and they host a party every Final Four, and all the coaches are invited, and it's a big bash. It's at a nightclub wherever the Final Four is hosted, and that tends to be where most of the networking gets done in terms of, hey, I'm going to go be your assistant coach next year. Maybe I want to leave. Maybe you have an open spot. They have the NABC.
Yep, that's the formal convention. Yep.
And that's where I got this book from. You go there, you do your thing. They'll do some coaching seminars. Dennis Gates was down there. He had just had a nice run with Missouri. But that's where it'll happen. So it'll be this week.
I think
Friday,
it's tonight.
Saturday. Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, because there's like 2 or 3, because there's a few down there. There's like a West Coast one, there's an East Coast one, and then like there'll be a couple NBA teams that'll like host from their scouting departments. But it's just a mixer. It's the same way that you'd go to a work conference.
I like it because I just imagine like a couple coaches being like, how much is this player? Like, how much do you think he gets paid? And they tell him, he's like, I was going to pay him so much more. Wow, that's huge.
That would be. We need to try and find a way to get in there.
Yeah. Plus, a lot of coaches are friends with one another too, and they're always working. Like, good for them. Big party with their bros. Have fun.
I have nothing more to say, honestly. I don't even know.
We've got to the pump party. That's how deep we are right now.
Yeah, I think we're just I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a podcast live from the next Pump Brothers party, wherever the next Final Four is, and we're just gonna try to see how many college coaches we can get on the pod.
Well, I was gonna make a really inappropriate Todd Golden joke, but
Do it.
Y'all can use your best imagination about what
Aiden,
that
get the dump button ready.
What's that?
Get the dump button.
No.
It's where there's a button you can delay it for 15 seconds. No. That's for.
I think we need to figure out a way to do an explicit version of this and throw it behind a paywall so that only the most loyal people would be able to see. So that's my thoughts. Guys, 2 hours at this point, season recap, Tennessee, the pump party, the transfer portal, loaded show. And just for everyone that's still listening, I think we're at 1,500 people. So if you're listening, thank you, first of all. This was really our first real season of doing this, not consistently, but consistently with a schedule where we knew where we were going to be the next week and 2 weeks out at all times, which was not the case the prior 2 years that we did this. So the fact that this has done, I think, as well as it has is surprising to me, first of all, but also really fun. And it's been a really fun season, and I'm very sad to see it go. I don't think that we're going to be able to do this regularly in the off season. Maybe we talk about doing something once a month just to check in, but we certainly, you're not going to see us on a weekly basis. I mean, I'm going to be in the trenches of being a new dad here starting in mid-May. So things will probably look different even the next time that we talk, but more of your guys' thoughts on kind of the season and the pod as a whole.
Before that, is it crazy to you that the next time you watch Iowa State men's basketball, it would be with a kid?
It is. It's pretty cool though. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like that's neat. Like that's why you do this. Because I don't know about you guys. Nate, I don't remember. Did you grow up an Iowa State fan, Nate?
The first Iowa State basketball game I ever watched was the comeback against Oklahoma. I was hooked.
Okay. So hard no, but obviously you ended up playing and then doing this. Tom and I grew up a fan. My dad had season tickets for a very long time, and it was a family thing, and it always has been, right, being from Des Moines. And that's not unique to anyone else. Everyone that's listening in some capacity went to school there or has something like that. So the fact that I'll have a daughter to share that with is really cool. I think the hard part is that I live in Dallas. So whether that sticks or not, I don't know. I would like to think so. I already have a little Iowa State onesie. She hasn't even been born yet. That's going on her as soon as she's born. But my wife went to TCU, but would rather see me happy than the Frogs win, which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
But anyways, pod as a whole. Okay, so we went from Spotify only to just chatting over basically Zoom and then posting. I edited at first. Then Tom was like, let's do it for real. I'll do it. And has done a really great job. So shout out you, Tom.
Yep.
But this has felt like the first season that we've actually been able to kind of put it all together.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we've had, a good rhythm, a good routine. I mean, it's pretty humbling. Just, we do get some good feedback from the listeners. So I think you guys are spending the time listening to our dumbasses talk for 2 hours on a weeknight. So we appreciate everything. If you guys have suggestions or anything, please yell at us. I think that would be, if we can make this as interactive as possible, I think this show would just be more fun. So I hope you can enjoy our stupid humor. Yeah, if we can get, one pod a month, I think that'd be great. Just even if it's just something stupid, we're just talking about fuck all, so.
Maybe do a draft or two about eras, Hoiberg era, Prom era, TJ era.
You've had that queued up for so long, and we definitely need to capitalize on that.
Shout out the chat. Yeah, that's really all I got. It's been such a fun thing to do. I started this in college, so crazy that I'm now doing it out of college, even though it's been 3-4 years. Comment from SciFan being more drunk Tom for year 2 on all platforms. That is questionable, probably doubtful.
Can we do a 9, 9, and 9 challenge live?
Lock it in. Need a dump button just in case, but down.
Like each of us, like, do I do the beer?
Yes. No, like we all 3 of us have to put down 27, 27, and 27, but it's the same game. Let's erase it.
I've always wanted to do one.
Why not?
Come on, Sean.
If you both into it, I would.
You'll have dad strength.
Yeah, if you have paternity leave, like we'll pick a 1-10 game on a Wednesday. Like
that would be so funny. Sean, how's paternity leave? It was good. Well, we saw you go live Wednesday at noon.
No, you didn't. That was a different Sean.
It's AI. It's AI.
AI
It's not real.
AI is crazy these days. Last thing I'll say, I think my goal for this pod and ours has always been to be Ball Knowers Club is kind of exorbitant, but it's kind of the goal, right? Like, I hope that everyone that listened to this during the year learned something. Every time that we got on, my hope was that someone said, "Oh, I didn't know that," or "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize that we were playing the game that way," or "I didn't realize that was a stat that was floating around." That's always how I've treated this. And I think for the most part, we've done that, right? I mean, I'm recognizing some of the people in the comments from, over the course of the season. And I hope that after everything's done, you say, I feel like I listened to that and I got smarter about Iowa State basketball.
Yeah, if we can be the antithesis to what sports media has been coming to, which is who can just have the loudest opinion, whether it's correct or not, if we can at least give something to the listener, I think that's my goal too. Like, the stuff doesn't just exist in my head for just existing in my head. Like, at some point I'll be dust too. Might as well share the knowledge I have with somebody. So, yeah.
It's awesome. It's a great experience, especially when like you know that people like on a Thursday they're like, I got offensive. I got to tune in for a little bit. And if plans come up, they even have to think about it for a second of like, I don't know, my basketball pod's on. That's like awesome. That's awesome to think about.
No doubt. We appreciate you all. Seriously, thank you for listening. CF After Dark's not going anywhere. There's a lot of stuff to happen, and there's a lot of things that are going to go down in the off season. You're going to be able to listen to everyone that you want to throughout the course of the next few months, and then that's not even taking into account what happens when football season starts. So I think that's it for us this year. It's been a great one. Didn't end the way that we wanted to, but that doesn't take away from what was an awesome season chatting ball with you guys. So appreciate you all, and as always, go Cyclones. Take care.